For this lesson, we're going to use the do until loop, right, to find the end of data file. As we can see in sheet 1, we have a couple of data here: Harmony, George, and Tim, and what they likes and so on. And on sheet 2, we will just only have the headings only. We started with the column index at 3 because we only want to copy from the column index at 3, and whatever is the end of file, we're going to copy up to there and then send it over to sheet 2. So we'll go to my Visual Basic for Application window, and I'm going to insert a module as usual. Now all the time I'll insert modules, right? And I am going to first and foremost write a subroutine. I want you all to work with this with me. I'm going to call this submit. Right? And because I don't know what is the end of data record, I'm just assuming that I don't know what is the last record. But I mean, we just look at it and we can see it there, but let me just assume it's millions of records within a particular file. I want to declare my variable first as a counter, right? I want to declare this as integer because I will want to use the do loop to check through to see which one is equal to null before it copies over the entire data. If we don't do this, what will happen is that it will go into an infinite loop and it will keep on searching for data that is not there. Right? So I will start off my row counter as 3. And why did I start off my row counter as 3? Because I do not want the data at 2 to be copied. I only want the data from 3 onwards. Right? So I'm going to utilize now the do until loop, and that is a very useful tool. I like the do until. This is my favorite loop out of all the loops. Do until something happens. You know how women is like to tell fellas, you go ahead and do until something happens to you. And they still go ahead and do it. Again, we'll go with this workbook. Almost fed up, see this word here. Dot sheet. We're using sheet 1 in this case here, and we're experimenting with these values because we're working with 2 sheets together. Right? We're going to use cell, and we start with the counter. Whatever is the first value of that counter equal to 1, and whatever, because we're using cell counter 1 where it's equal to null, or no data at all. Right? We will continue by using this workbook. And this is our next experimental exercise, because you want to copy all this over to sheet 2. Taking whatever's in sheet 1 and copying it over to sheet 2. But instead of using the cell property, we'll use the range property here because we're taking the entire range. And I'm going to do some concatenation here. Right? Range value from, well, let me just take a look at the values that we're using here. A to D. So you'll take whatever value in range from A to D and we'll concatenate whatever is the counter value there, because we have to, we know when you're doing the do until loop, it will be incrementing as it goes along now. Alright, so we'll take the concatenation of counter from A to D, right, and I'll concatenate with the counter value, whatever is the counter value that is current in that cell, dot value, and I'm going to make this workbook equal, right, to sheet 1. So I'll just copy this entire thing here. And make this value here equal to sheet 1. Right? So whatever is in sheet 1, I wanted to copy over to sheet 2. Right? To prevent my infinite loop, I have to put counter equal to counter plus 1. And then I will close my loop. Right? Now this is a possibility here that we're experimenting with this program here. There is a high possibility that this might go into an infinite loop and might crash the program. But we'll try it still nonetheless. Let me look at the code one more time to make sure we analyze the code. So we'll do until this workbook on sheet 1, whatever is the value of the counter, because we start at counter number 3, which is in this row here. Right? Row 3. And in row 3, whatever the counter value 1, or counter 1 in row 1 I should say, whenever it reaches to no data, stop and copy whatever that data that you stop at over to sheet 2. Let's see if this happens. If not, we're packing up and going home now. Right, so we know sheet 2 don't have any data. Right, we're going to try this. So let's run this program. Right, and it executes without any problems. Oh, and the data has been moved across to sheet 2. Seen it? Execute it one more time. So you can see this happening. Right, so the data has been migrated over.